Hey everybody, this is Eli Freestone, and you're watching my Week 2 reflection video for Java 2 Term 1405. This week we were expanding on our project from last week. My app was using the DVD new release from Rotten Tomatoes, and overall I think the project came out okay. I did have some definite issues. More specifically, I struggled a lot with how to fix my file check from last week. Last week it was always returning false regardless if I knew the file was there. This week I actually figured out how to get it to find the file, but even if the file wasn't actually there, it was finding the path to the file. So then it was creating a null point exception, a fatal exception, and causing it to crash. So then I spent a lot of time kind of messing around with that, and then moving on to try and do workarounds for the save instance to make it so it's not going to call the retrieve data every time you change the device, flip the device sideways or whatnot. But I finally cracked it. I actually got it to check the file correctly. It was kind of a waste of time trying to figure out the whole workarounds part of it, but I was able to get it, thankfully. It just definitely put me behind quite a bit. So my app itself is fairly basic. I didn't get much time at all to style it or anything like that. But let's go ahead and run through the code here real quick for what's new. Alright, so here's where we're doing the actual file check. I'm using the get file stream path, which I had tried before, but I was using the full path name for that. So it was data/package, so on and so forth. And it wasn't working, and I thought I had used it. The way I have it set up now, it's only getting the file name, so string from url.txt, and it's finding the path from there. I thought I had tried it that way before. I may not have, but the only other thing different, at least directly right here, would be that I'm actually saving as a boolean the file.exists result. Whether or not that affects it, I honestly don't know. I don't really think it does, but I can't say for sure. Anyways, it is finally fully working. If the file already exists, it automatically just goes ahead and displays it. And so I'm definitely really excited that I finally cracked that one, although it was very frustrating. So anyways, we're still doing the on-click. We're checking the connection status and everything for the Get New Releases button. And then for the on-item click for the list view, we're then grabbing the entire object for the movie that was selected as a hash map. The reasoning for that was I was originally going to send over the whole hash map and then parse out the different information over on the details activity. But then I kind of at the last minute while I was doing that, I decided that it would be more efficient to grab all the different things here and then put them as individual strings in the intent, as extras. And I think it worked out fairly well. I could have even probably moved that stuff to its own method, but I hadn't really had time to mess with that. So anyways, it's passing all the strings over in the intent when you're switching over to the detailed view. And we'll still have the onHandle message from last week, retrieve data, the two different custom methods for alerts. Then I added a third one for rating selected alert, which I'll show you in the demo. It actually dynamically creates the message based on the DVD title and the star selected in the rating bar. Alright, so then we have the on save instance and on restore, as well as on activity result. These are fairly close to what's been shown in the keynote from this week's Hangout. I did have to modify them a little bit just because the way my app setup is a little bit different. I'm assuming that's pretty regular, being that the different APIs and everything, and everybody's coding styles are probably pretty different. So they're not really dead on for what was in those, but they are definitely similar. So yeah, let's go ahead and go over to the details activity. So after it's passing all of the different strings over as extras in the intent, I'm then grabbing the different text views, passing those strings over into a local string, and then setting that text to the text view. And then we have a button for my implicit intent, and this one is actually, it searches the RottenTomatoes.com website for the movie that you're on. So it's a dynamically modified URL that gets passed in. So if you're on the you're on a movie's detail view, you click the get more info, it's going to take you to that movie's page at RottenTomatoes.com. There is one issue with the way I have this set up, though. If the title of the movie has any special characters, there's one in the list this week. There was a release this week. I think it's called like I Frankenstein or something like that. It has a comma after I, and that one breaks the URL. It takes you to a 404 page at Rotten Tomatoes. And I do believe it's the comma that's causing that. I unfortunately just figured that out with the take before this, so I haven't really been able to figure out what's going on with that. Thankfully, it's only the one. I've tested all the others and they work fine. But anyways, yeah, so that's my implicit intent. And then we're going to the ratings bar where you can select your rating for the movie. And then when you hit the back button and go back to the main activity, it pops up in the alert view because it's being passed within the finish method. It's being passed as an extra in that intent going back to the main activity. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a quick demo on my phone here. And we're using the Droid at home. I'm still kind of getting used to it. It's a little bit laggy and a little bit buggy, but it's a whole lot better than the simulator, or emulator I guess is more accurate. But anyways, so when you pop it up, it actually does do the right check, and it does pop up the file does not exist if the file does not exist. But it doesn't do it if the file does exist, thankfully. And then you do have to click get new releases for it to actually populate the list view. And it does save the instance, so if you flip the phone horizontal, it does, just populates it again. Doesn't have to recall the API or anything like that. So let's go ahead and select. We'll just go ahead and select Stalingrad. And it pops over to a detail view where you have the title, release date, the rating, critic and audience ratings, and then you can do a rating of your own. Let's go ahead and give it 2.5 stars. I've never actually seen the movie, so I don't know for sure. So it pops up the alert view that says you have rated Stalingrad 2.5 stars. All right, so let's go ahead and let's select Still Mine and do the get more info. Because I have two different browsers on this phone, it does ask which one you want to use. Let's go ahead and use Firefox for it, and it takes you to the Rotten Tomatoes website and to the page for that specific movie, to be more exact. So yeah, I guess that's about it for that. Let's go ahead and do the quick questions here. I really like the multiple activities because it's a lot like the multiple views from iOS programming from the last couple of months. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. It's definitely opens up a lot of areas that we can actually develop into, and so I'm definitely excited about that one. Explicit and implicit intents are definitely really cool. The explicit intents are obviously super handy, because you can send in data to a different activity and so on and so forth. But the implicit intent, that actually opens up a plethora of new stuff, because you can do stuff with your app that your app actually can't do. You can you just look through the device to find something else that can do it for you. There's obviously the limitations of you can't control what's going on with that other application, but in reality, I think the user is going to understand that when they have that have the question where it's asking them, how they want to proceed with that. They'll understand that they're going to a different app. In most cases. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I don't really need any major clarifications. I'm looking more into specifically the serialization. The way I have my on-save instance set up, I serialized everything, but what I thought was going on might not be what's going on, because I'm actually getting a warning from it, and it's saying that it's unchecked cache from serializable to array list hash map. So I'm kind of fuzzy as to why that popped up, because I'm pretty sure I'm not casting anything in this, but again, I've only read up on serialized just a little bit, really just enough to figure out what I needed to do, how to get this to work correctly. But yeah, I guess that's about it. This has been Eli Freestone, Week 2 of Java 2, Term 1405. Thanks for watching, have a good night.